Gets away from Kante, plays down the line for Suarez. 98 team of the year, Suarez.
He's a big chance.
Ramos.
Suarez, what's he going to do? Tries to feed it back. Is that going to come to Ronaldo? Just trying to get a foot on that, maybe. Pull it now. The man that Bullock loves. Half turn there from Torres. Vieira back to Suarez on the finesse, and there we have it. The Bullock is in London. He turns around. He celebrates. The Bullock. He had a plan, and he's performed it.
You're listening to the FUT Champions podcast with Richard and Brandon.
What is going on? Welcome back to the FUT Champions podcast. Week number 11 we're on now. We are into the double figures. We're past week 10. We're here for week 11 with another Top 100 Pro, another guest. Of course, your host Brandon Smith, myself. Next to me, that man Richard Buckley. I said to him at the end of last week, go and play your weekend league games, Richard Buckley, and come back with a 40-0. Rich, how did the weekend go, mate?
The 40-0 did not get hit, unfortunately. I will not be competing at the next event. The top 64 dream has crumbled, but our guest today is not struggling. We're not going to get Colin on this week. He unfortunately cannot join us, but we've got an upper echelon guest, haven't we, Brandon?
We have indeed, and obviously he's part of, you could say, the linked in with the Stark eSports team over there. Obviously Zebo over there doing some great things of a number of German clubs. One of the first teams to get into eSports, one of the first real football clubs in the German scene was Wolfsburg, and one of their main players that has had a lot of success, especially last year and moving into this year as well, is Timox, however you guys pronounce it. I'm sure we're lucky to be joined by him. He was in Barcelona. Timox, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks, man. I'm good. How are you?
Very well indeed, and obviously you're back from Barcelona now in February qualifying month. How are you feeling, first of all? Talk to me about Barcelona. Was it overall, I think you was top 32, obviously not enough to get yourself in the playoffs, but still you got yourself out of the Swiss style format?
Yeah, I got out of the Swiss style format. I had to get used to it first. I lost my second game already, so I was 1-1. Then I was 3-1, so 3 wins, 1 losses. Then I lost 2 games in a row, which made me 3-3, so I had to win my last game. Which I won in the end, so it was very close, but yeah, after looking back at it now, after one month, I think I'm happy with my performance. I think I played quite good, but not as good as I could, so I try to improve for the next event, which I hopefully qualify for, and then we will see how it goes.
And I was actually watching the game that unfortunately did lose to go out of the tournament against, I believe it was New York City, Chris.
Yeah.
Talk to me just about that game in general. Like, what was the final score? Was it 5-1 to Chris?
I think even more, like 6-2, 6-1.
What happened in that game?
I don't really know. I've never played him before, and the way he defends, I've just never seen this anyone doing in this world, because he never really attacks by himself. He's just he selects the players and puts them into the right position, like he puts a CDM into his CDM spot, and then just he lets the CPU defend on their own, and I didn't really know how to counter against that. I didn't really know how to score a lot of goals, and that's why I only scored, I think, a corner and a long shot. So yeah, he really dominated me. He played very good possession style, and he was very dangerous in attack, so I had nothing to do against him. I played him in the Swiss style format as well. I lost very unlucky, so I had like 5 chances, didn't score one, and he scored after every chance of me, and he won like 5-1 as well. So I was pretty scared, to be honest, after realizing that I have to play him in the playoffs. But yeah, didn't really know what to do against him.
And obviously the Swiss style format was a new tournament format we used to see, and you could say at the highest level in competitive FIFA. What did you make of the Swiss style format? Coming into the tournament, was you a little bit nervous about it, or was you thinking, it gives me the chance, if I do have a bad start to the tournament, to turn it around and you know, pull through in the end? And as you said, you lost 3, won 3, and you had to go to the deciding game in the end. What did you make of the Swiss style format?
Well, I think if there are a lot of pro players and like 64 top players, the Swiss style format is very good, because if you lose 2 games in the group stage, you're basically out. So you can lose 2 games, maybe even lose your first 3 games, and then come back and win 4, because it's just the way of coming into the tournament, getting to used to the gameplay, and this sometimes takes quite a while. But with the Swiss style format, these kind of things can be ignored, and you can just try and get used to your gameplay after a little bit of time.
And while we've got you here, Timo, I want to talk about your teammate at that tournament, Salzor, because he was perfect in Swiss style.
Yeah.
What happened to him in that round of 32?
Well, I don't know. I think he just had a very, 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 very good day. The day before the round of 32 playoffs, but I think he was just very unlucky. He played against another German guy, and he was 3-0 up after 30 minutes, I think. And then he just kind of bottled it. But yeah, he was pretty unlucky. I think if he would have played like the 2 days before, he could have won the whole tournament. But yeah, it's just how it goes.
Finding your form at the perfect time, really. I know a lot of the guys who went far in the competition on the Swiss style format. They didn't do the best. The H-Tex who went on to win it, I think he finished 5-2 in Swiss style, and then at the peaks of the tournament, that's where he really performed his best. Do you think in a tournament setting it's all about playing your best FIFA at the right time? Yeah,
that's it.
And linking into that, I know we spoke to Salzor as well, and when he was off the cameras, as much as he's a very humble guy, he said, "I'm just getting lucky," as you said. It's just like I'm just having a good day at the moment, because it's safe to say, Salzor's been around for a long time, and he does get to all the big events. But for me, I've never seen him maybe dominate so much on that first day. Do you think it was maybe like the preparation going into the event that helped him, or was it just a luck of the day? Would you say?
I think maybe the two things combined. He had, of course, a very good day, but that's what you need to win at a big event, and you just have to prepare yourself as well. So he did a lot of preparation. I've talked about with him a lot about how he's preparing, and we had a boot camp together with our agency Stark eSports and the eSporters of Stuttgart, Bochum, so Megabit, Dr. Ahano, Marlet, and all these guys. And he was performing very well during this boot camp, and he tried a lot of new tactics. So he tried 5 at the back, 4-4-2. So he just was very able to counter a lot of different play styles, and I think that's what made him do the perfect run in the group stage. But I think he maybe had some problems against the German guy Testo Tier, because he was very unknown before as well, and no one knew how he really plays. And Mo Aubameyang beat Testo in the Swiss style format, I think 7-2 or something. And the day after in the playoffs, Mo only won 4-3, I guess. So FIFA is, as we said, a lot of daily performance, and that's what maybe knocked Salzor out.
And you spoke about some of the really best German players there, yourself, Salzor, Megabit, Marlet, Dr. Ahano. What is it? Do you think there's any reason that you can put down to why Germany, particular, is, you could say, dominating the FIFA scene at the minute? Like, do you practice together? Is it good training before a tournament? Like, what would you put it down to why the German nation is doing so well at the minute?
Well, we have 4 different seasons of German championships per year, so we play against each other a lot in competitive games, and that's what helps us a lot, I guess. I don't think that there are that many championships in any other country, so we have to compete against each other on a high level every month, I guess, sometimes even every week, and that's why we keep playing on a high level against other pro players very often. That's what helps us putting up our gameplay.
And obviously, let's go back to November, qualifying month, which, if you didn't know, was the main qualifying month to get into Barcelona, the event that just went past. You finished 55th overall there, so technically 9 spaces just in to qualify for yourself over on the PlayStation side. Talk to me about that month. Break it up into the 4 weeks. Which weeks did you do well in, and which weeks didn't you do so well in?
Well, November was the first week was very hard for me because I had to decide whether I go to the EASWC and take part in this tournament and maybe struggle in the weekend league, or if I don't take part in the tournament and play the weekend league at home. I decided to take part at the tournament in Paris, so I had to play my first weekend league in Paris, backstage somewhere, and that was like the worst decision in my FIFA career, I guess, because I was on 8-0 and then someone just unplugged my console from the power station, so I've got my first loss through that. Then I was on 17-1, I guess, and then the internet disconnected in the whole area, so I got my second loss. Then I lost to another guy, which was fair, I guess. Then I was on 17-3, and then I just stopped playing there because I couldn't really concentrate, and the settings and the environment wasn't that perfect as well. So when I came home on Sunday night, I had 7 hours to play my last 23 games, which I luckily won in the end. So I finished on 37-3 for the first week, which was of course not perfect. And then in the second week I had another disconnect, so I had 4 losses, and I lost another game as well. So I had 5 losses after 2 weeks, which was very, very hard for me, and I didn't really believe that I could still make it. But I got 2 39s in a row, and that qualified me in the end. So I had a very, very unlucky month, but I was really happy that it still was enough in the end.
And I want to take you to this qualifying month now during February. You've started very, very strong, I believe. 79 wins, is it, out of 80 so far?
Yep.
Is there anybody who's standing out for you? Is there any of the new prime icons? I've seen a lot of people using the Ronaldinho. He's coming to a lot of people's teams. Is it a similar team to what you used in Barcelona? Is it different to your November qualifying? What's been changing in your team and Ultimate Team?
I think I had a very good team from the start of FIFA 18 because I had a lot of FIFA points and some pack luck. But at home I have the same team as I had in Barcelona, so unlucky that I don't have the prime Ronaldinho yet because I don't have enough coins for him. But I have like the best team you can imagine apart from the 94 Ronaldinho. I have Team of the Year Ronaldo, Team of the Year Messi, R9, Henry, Gullit, Vieira, Team of the Year Ramos, Marcelo, De Gea, Maldini, and in from Valencia. So my team is pretty decent, I'd say, and of course it helps me a lot to qualify in this month.
Next question on that is, how much do you think that team affects your performance? Like, does it give you that extra couple of wins in the weekend league?
I think it just gives me an extra boost of motivation and self-confidence, because if you see this team and you see your opponent's squad and he sees my team, I think he just doesn't want to play anymore. And if I see his team and I see he has like Griezmann, Dembele and Martial in the attacking third, I'm not really scared because I have Timox Ramos with like 95 pace and Maldini who will easily beat his attackers. So I rarely concede a lot of goals, and scoring goals with Messi, Ronaldo is not really that hard. So I have to admit that my team helps me a lot, and I think with a lower team, like a 2 or 3 million team, I think I would be able to qualify as well, but it would be, of course, a lot harder.
So maybe, depending on how you can describe this as such, there was, a player, for example, like DH Tex, he came into Barcelona with, if you remember, or you would have seen it on the social media, he had a completely different team to what you played with in Barcelona. If you were to give advice to a pro that you could say had 2 to 3 million coin team, and then came to Barcelona, and then obviously, as we know, could use any item up to the 18th of January. Would you say go and use maybe like say if you can use a Prime Vieira and at home use a normal one? Would you say go and use those higher attacking players or higher rated players, or would you say play with what you know?
I think it's all down to personal preference. Me, for example, in FIFA 17, I always had a pretty bad team at home because I wasted all my coins for SBCs and packs and all this stuff. So when I came to events like Berlin and the FIWC, seeing these teams and being able to play with these teams was like a dream for me because I really didn't have the players at home. So I always took the best possible squad because you get used to these perfect players very fast, and if you're not getting used to them very fast and you don't really like them, you can still switch your team around and maybe build the team you have at home. So my advice is to build the best possible team for the tournament, and then after 1 or 2 games, if you realize it doesn't really fit my playstyle, you can just go back to what you play with at home.
One thing that I want to throw back to was last year, Timo, you seemed to get to all the major finals pretty much on the PlayStation side, but it was just at the last hurdle that you couldn't really get over. Are you going to put that down to anything? Do you think it's maybe a mental thing, or do you think it's just the people you're playing against in that one-off game were just a little bit better?
I don't really know. I don't think that it's a big mental thing, because if I play tournaments which are not really that major big tournaments, I mostly win them, so I don't really have problems while playing a final. But I think for example, Dito in FIFA 17, he was very good, and I just really hate to play against him because he's like a possession player, just like Didi Crislito, and I don't really like to play against these kind of players. So I think I was pretty unlucky in the game itself, and of course with the opponents. So Dito, I didn't really like to play him. Then Schultz in Berlin, he was a very good player as well, and I was a little bit unlucky in this game as well because it went to penalties after I had to win 2 games and he only won because I came from the lower bracket. So I was pretty unlucky in the game and with the opponent as well.
And obviously, looking back to last year, in general, was you really impressed with the year you had? Because, looking at your record now, obviously did really well in Paris, did exceptionally well at the FUT Champions final, where me and Rich, one of our first games on the main stage, we commentated over you beat Salzor.
Yeah.
And then you had a fantastic, you still had a fantastic, if you look at an overview, you had a fantastic time in London at the FIWC Grand Final there as well. Overall, was you really impressed with the year you had?
Yeah, of course. I think this year was just the best year I ever had, and I really think that it's very, very hard to make such a year again, or even close to this, because, as you said, I've been in every single final at every major tournament. So this haven't been like tournaments where only 2 or 3 pro players play. It have been the best tournaments in FIFA 17, and I've been in every final. And I think the only thing that could make something better is me winning a big major tournament like Barcelona and these kind of tournaments this year, or maybe even in FIFA 19. I'm 20 years old, so I still have a lot of time to play. But yeah, FIFA 17 was just amazing for me, and I realized how good I have been in FIFA 17 after I got defeated in Barcelona, because in FIFA 17 it felt quite, I don't want to say normal, but quite happy, or maybe even normal to be go far in the tournament. So after getting defeated in Barcelona, I realized that I'm still not like the best player in the world, and I still have to train a lot and improve a lot, and that you have to improve every year, and that every year there are different top players who will be at the top in the end of the year.
If you like what you're hearing, why not subscribe? Just go to @FUTChampionsPod on Twitter, drop a follow, and then you'll find all your subscription options in the pinned tweet. Oh, and also, while I've got you, why not check out this podcast, More Casual Older Brother, the FUT Weekly podcast, for in-depth reviews, Team of the Week rundown, content chat, and general FUT discussion.
Before the podcast started, you said that you wanted to play Gfinity later tonight. With the recent introduction, the reintroduction of Gfinity and having competitive matches against other pros, that's got to be a massive help to you coming into these events, that you can play in a competitive setting against other pros. What are some of the things that you've learned maybe from playing in the Gfinity Cups against other pros? Is there any little tactics that you've picked up, any corners, free kicks, stuff like that?
To be honest, tonight is my first Gfinity Cup in FIFA 18 because I always forgot to sign up, or I didn't want to play. But tonight and Thursday I will try to play, because I realized that there's some prize money at the end as well. And if you play these kind of tournaments or friendlies against other pro players, which I prefer, to be honest, you will learn a lot, because if you play against players which you have never played against, they always have some special things you've never seen before. For example, I've played against a German guy last week, which I have never played against before, and he had an insane corner tactic. So he just passed it short and then did 2 or 3 quick passes, and then he was through on goal every time, and I copied that tactic now. And so these kind of games always help a lot to sneak some new tactics.
And whilst we were on the topic of Gfinity, of course, doing some really good things, and if you didn't know, they are part of the global series going forward with their Elite Season number 3, which FIFA will be involved in. You know, if we go back, Timo, to the times of Team Acer, for example, I know you and Dr. Hano are part of that, and you were in the Gfinity arena, which used to be obviously not called the Gfinity Arena, it is now. You know, the Play Like a Legend tournaments like that, you know, those back then, I think that was back in 2015, maybe 2014. Yep. Like, they were the main competitive tournaments back then. So, like, if we talk about FIFA in a 5-year period, a 4-year period, have you been impressed with it? Because you've gone from $3,000 tournaments to, you know, $200,000 tournaments. Like, how have you seen the progression?
Well, the progression is insane. If you see the Play Like a Legend tournaments, which I qualified for in FIFA 16, I think, there have been like 200 to 300 players which tried to qualify, and now through FUT Champions, I don't really know, there are
maybe 7 million.
Yeah, these kind of numbers, and that just shows how much FIFA eSports has grown in the past few years. And I'm just happy to see, I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'm happy to see that it grows from year to year, and I'm excited to see where it is in like 5 to 6 years.
And linking on to that, Timo, obviously, you know, Team Acer did fold in the end and did finish on that. Talk to me about, you know, how Wolfsburg came about, because Wolfsburg, I believe, were the first football club, I want to say, getting involved in FIFA eSports.
Yeah.
And obviously Dave, by the way, a good friend of ours too, obviously was part of that transition. You know, how did that move come about for Wolfsburg? Like, how long was you in talks about it? Did you know it was going to happen, or was it kind of out the blue and, you know, yes please, I want to sign for Wolfsburg?
So I just won my second German championship title at the end of FIFA 16, and I had a contract with my agency Stark Esports, which have already been working with Wolfsburg for a year that time, and Wolfsburg was looking for another player who's good at good at the game and who will most likely bring trophies home. And they didn't really look at social media stats and stuff. So I didn't really have the best social media, so like Facebook, YouTube and stuff. But they wanted, as I said, a player who wins tournaments. So I was the one for them because I just won, as I said, the German championship, and I had a contract with my agency already. So yeah, I went to Wolfsburg, had a good date with them, I'd say, and we've talked for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and after the conversation, I already knew, okay, this will be it. They are cool guys, and they are all like 20 to 35 years old, so they are pretty young as well, and this will be a cool time. And if they decide that I will be their player, I will most likely say yes.
And you are playing with two other players at Wolfsburg as well, Dave, by the way, and Salzor. What's training with them guys like? Do you practice before tournaments? Do you play a lot of games?
Yeah, sure. So if I practice, I mostly practice against Benedict or Dave, and if they don't have time, I will look for other pros. But yeah, we try to share tactics and new corners and new free kicks. But of course, we are still rivals in the end, so we have to watch out what we say to each other. Because if I give Benedict the best possible corner tactics and he scores 3 of them against me in the big match and I'm out, then yeah, I will be pretty mad, because then I think I shouldn't have told him about that. But yeah, I think you understand what I mean.
Have you ever matched up against either of them two guys on FUT Champs?
FUT Champs not yet, no, but just Benedict in Berlin, the first group match.
So like, we talk about this quite a lot. Obviously, you mentioned about your teammates. You practice with them quite a bit. What's it like as well? You've said about as a possible rival if you meet up at a tournament. But what's it like having Benedict? Obviously, you're probably a bit more close to Benedict. Obviously, both in Germany, and obviously Dave is there as well. How important is it to have that kind of team vibe of supporting each other through the tough times as well as the good times?
I think it's pretty cool. In Berlin, for example, after Benedict got defeated in the groups, he was standing behind me every game during my playoffs, and he gave me a lot of good tips, because he's very experienced is the right word, I guess, because he's playing since so many years and he's played a lot of tournaments. And he was always the guy who I was able to ask, because I was pretty new. And he was always someone who had a good advice from me, same as Dr. Ahano, who was the perfect mate for me during the Team Acer time, because I was new to the scene. I just qualified for the first small tournaments in Germany, and he was already playing since like 100 years. And he always gave me very, very good advices, and I'm very thankful for that today.
And I try and ask every pro who comes onto the show. Recently, we've seen an influx in coaching in FIFA, and having someone stood behind you. You spoke about it there in Berlin, that Salzor almost took on the coach role for you. As a player, how important is it for you to have someone behind you, just telling you to hype you up or to calm you down in certain situations?
I think it's very important, but for me, I think it has to be a pro player, because they see things that you don't see as a player in game. Because, like, if you play against someone and you seem to rush too much forward and you are not calm enough, they will always tell you during halftime, hey, watch out, you are rushing too much, play a little bit more calm and stuff. And this is really what helps you, because I don't think like Benedict, Mo Aubameyang, all the German guys who were there in Berlin always had my back, and they all now know what kind of play style I am able to play, what kind of skill moves I am able to pull off. And that's what's very important for me, because they can help me very, very much.
So obviously Stark eSports, a massive organisation now, and obviously you're a part of the Wolfsburg. They look after a number of other pro players and football clubs as well. Obviously, Zebo behind it, and a number of other names that I probably haven't mentioned. What have Stark done for you, and what do you think of Stark as an organisation?
So for me, Stark gave me the opportunity to play for Wolfsburg, because without them, I wouldn't be able to join them like 2 years ago almost. And yeah, they are just doing a lot of great stuff for the FIFA community in Germany and international in general, because yeah, they are giving so many players opportunities to do the things through FIFA in life that they want, because they made it possible for me to do FIFA as a full-time job, and same for Benedict. And yeah, they just founded the new team Focus, which is a new FIFA team, and they signed 3 players, I think, and yeah, they are in connection with Basel, Bochum, Stuttgart, and a lot of different clubs. And for me, they are the perfect agency or organization, because I just really love the guys working there, and I'm often there in their office, because it's just like a 1 hour drive from me. So yeah, I just love to hang out with them, because they are cool guys and they really do their job very good.
Yeah, all the guys who I've met at Stark have been really nice to both myself and Brandon. One of the final questions for me, Timo, since you've been at Wolfsburg, outside of FIFA, what are some of the best experiences that you've had with the club Wolfsburg? Have you had any good opportunities to meet any players, tickets to any games?
Well, we had one amazing thing, which is we went to training session with the team in Miami. So they went there to play some tournaments and just train during winter break. And yeah, we've been able to hang out with them, and yeah, just come with them to Miami, which was very insane for us. We've been there for 10 days, and we did a lot of crazy things like surfing and football challenges with the pro players, and yeah, just very amazing things, and which I'm very thankful for, and I hope that we will have some more situations like that in the future.
And do you think as well that, you know, at times, I don't know if you pinch yourself, and other players do, do you feel like you're not far off feeling like a professional football player? I know you're a professional FIFA player, but obviously it's both a football game, one's virtual, one's football, and the way you get treated at Wolfsburg, you know, do you have many fans come up to you for pictures and stuff, or you're not at that level yet?
Yeah, we are slowly getting to this kind of level. Of course, when you see, for example, Gerhard standing there and me, of course, the fans will most likely go to Gerhard and ask him for a picture, and not me. But of course, there are a lot of fans messaging me and Benedict and also Dave every day, asking for games and asking for photos. And yeah, we are treated like we are footballers as well, which I really enjoy, because yeah, they just give us a good feeling as a team and as our managers, and yeah, that's just perfect.
One last thing to talk about as well. Obviously, as you said, we're talking back to Gfinity, there was maybe 300 to 400 people that were entering these tournaments. Now in FUT Champions, we're getting, you know, maybe 6 million, maybe even more, as Richard's saying. What have you made of EA Sports, you know, moving into eSports in the last 2 years, you know, with the FUT Champions coming into it? Do you think that's been, you know, the real driving force of FIFA eSports now?
Yeah, I think so. FUT Champions has been a game changer, of course, because it's hard for people to sign up for tournaments, because they are always pretty hidden somewhere in the internet. And with FUT Champions, everyone sees the FUT Champions thing every day after starting Ultimate Team, and that's just helping EA Sports to get more players connected with esports, and of course also helping the pro players, because If there are more players competing, the prize money will raise, and that's what makes it possible for me to be a full-time FIFA player.
And to anyone out there that wants to get into FIFA esports, you know, for me, I think for me, it's a perfect time for any, you know, guy to get into esports, because if you look how it's growing, it's going vertically up, and it, you know, it's growing masses and leaps every single day. What advice, in a few words, would you give to someone that wants to get involved in FIFA?
I think playing FUT Champions is the best way to become a professional FIFA player, because there are some guys who are qualifying for events now which have been Gold 2 or Gold 3 players 1 year ago after FUT Champions started, and now they are constantly in the top 100. So through FUT Champions, progressing your game style is very easy, because you have 40 games every week and you can try out new things every week. And yeah, this is just the perfect mode to step up your gameplay and get some routine in your weekends as well.
Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on. Just one tip for the player who maybe is maybe Elite 2, Elite 3, Elite 1, wanting to get into the top 100. What would be your one tip, Timo's tip, to get into that top 100?
I think playing every game as if it's the last game is the best tip I can give, because that's what I do. I try to lose no games during the weekend league, which makes the weekend league even harder, because you have to focus to 100% every weekend, but that's what helps you to get more wins. So if you're an Elite 1 player, which means you have 6 losses during the weekend, I think that every Elite 1 player is also able to be in the top 100, because all of these 6 losses are avoidable, because if you focus 150% during the games you lost, I think you wouldn't have lost. So take every game serious and give everything, and then I think everyone can be a top 100 player.
Thank you very much, Timox, obviously from Wolfsburg in Germany, a very high profile and talented German FIFA player. He says play every single game as if it's your last, with 150%. A massive thank you for coming on, Timo. Richard, it's been a pleasure, mate. Another good week of the podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much for the support shown last week on the podcast with Tubo. You can find all the podcasts on our social media sites if you want to go back and have a listen to what someone said.
Of course you can indeed. If you have just discovered us on the podcast, you could say Avenue. We are the FUT Champions podcast. We upload every single week with a top 100 pro from all around the world. Let us know in the comments below and on Twitter as well, at FUTChampsPod on Twitter. Use the hashtag FUTChampsPod to get involved as well. Who you want to see on the podcast next week. We try and keep it relevant. We try and keep it in sync with the qualification process. As you know, we are in February qualifying month right now, so let us know who you want to get on. Drop a like, subscribe for more, and until next time, enjoy your weekend league, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
If you like what you're hearing, why not subscribe? Just go to @FUTChampionspod on Twitter, drop a follow, and then you'll find all your subscription options in the pinned tweet. Oh, and also, while I've got you, why not check out this podcast, More Casual Older Brother, the FUT Weekly podcast, for in-depth reviews, Team of the Week rundown, content chat, and general FUT discussion.